also think that urine is perhaps covering up something. So maybe he slipped or something. I do.
You think so, Robbie?
I do.
You
because
think he's covering something up?
I don't know why I think that, but
took
why
you 3
else?
years to get to that, but okay.
But why else wouldn't you call 911 if somebody is, let's say, dying right in front of you? Unless you feel like maybe you would be implicated in some way, then of course
Robbie,
you would call.
I already asked you that.
Yeah, I know, and I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. Out to the lines. Carrie, Wisconsin. Hi, Carrie.
Hi. My question is, has he been taken back into custody? And if not, is he considered a flight risk?
Well, I would consider him a flight risk, but apparently they don't in Aruba. Back out to Tracy Sabo, CNN senior producer. Tracy, why hasn't he been rearrested?
That's a very good question. That is something that obviously the prosecution is trying desperately to accomplish, but the judge ruled just yesterday that he does not, the new evidence does not meet the threshold for any further pretrial detention. He feels that it hasn't risen to that level with this new information.
Out to Ronnie in Florida. Hi, Ronnie.
Hi, Nancy. I just absolutely love you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for calling in. What's your question, dear?
Well, my question is, when they originally went through all the phone records of Vandersloot, tonight they're saying that he called a friend of his who had a boat nearby, but that person was never interviewed. So what happened to that
phone call? He's saying he called from a payphone. Is that correct, Frederick Pleitgen? He says he called from a payphone?
That's absolutely right. That's one of the things that he appears to be saying in that TV documentary, is that he was trying to cover all this up, calling this friend of his by calling from a payphone from a nearby hotel that was around the corner. And he said that his friend did show up only a few moments later, Nancy.
Frederick Pleitgen, CNN correspondent, joining us there in the Netherlands. Frederick, my question is, what in this long series of taped statements jumps out at you immediately? What do you think is the most serious part of the surveillance?
Well, certainly there were several parts that I found very serious. I mean, just him saying that he had been there when she died, and then bringing this whole new character into the whole game of things. But I think the thing that has a lot of people here in Holland, and probably in all sorts of other places, very, very up in arms, is the fact that he's saying he believes he's off the hook, that he's saying he never lost a night of sleep over it, and especially also saying that now it's his turn to cash in on all of this, to exploit the situation. That seemed very, very cold-hearted to a lot of people, and that's the reaction that you're getting here in Holland from people, Nancy.
Joining us there in the Netherlands, Frederick Pleitgen. Also with us, Tracy Sabo, CNN senior producer. We'll all be right back. And also tonight, the twins, John David and Lucy, 3 months old. And I want to thank you for all of your prayers. I know God is listening. Here are photos we just put online. I hope you like them.
The on-again, off-again investigation of the disappearance of an Alabama teenager in Aruba is on again. Investigators reopened the case because a suspect in the 2005 disappearance offered an account of her death on a secretly made tape. A businessman recorded the conversation with Joran Vandersloot with cameras hidden in his car. On the tape, aired on Dutch television, Vandersloot said he and Holloway had sex on an island beach early in the morning of May 30th, 2005, and that she died. He said he called a friend with a boat who then took her body and dumped it overboard, in his words, like an old rag.
He goes on to say he hasn't lost a night's sleep about the death of Natalee Holloway in the prime of her life. The teenage American beauty on her high school senior trip to Aruba. Hours before it was time to leave, she was missing. Out to the lines, Crystal in Texas. Hi, Crystal.
Hi.
What's your question, dear?
Well, actually, I just have a comment. If this guy had done nothing wrong, why go to all the trouble of calling a friend, getting the girl on the boat? It doesn't make sense. If he wasn't afraid of calling the police, or if he was afraid of calling the police, why not just leave her there? Why go to the trouble of calling a friend?
Right. Why not call 911, first of all, and number two, in the bad alternative, why not leave the body there? Why go to all the trouble, Alex Sanchez, of calling a friend to dispose of the body walking to a payphone instead of using the cell phone you have with you, and walking all the way home, even throwing away your shoes so they can't be found. Why go through all that if you don't have a guilty conscience?
Well, I think what his attorney is going to say, Nancy, is that he panicked. He's a young guy. No, he's not that old. And that he found himself in this awful situation, and that the only thing he could think of doing was calling a friend and trying to cover his tracks because he couldn't face the reality of what had occurred.
Interesting, Alex. Okay, if I'm ever arrested for murder one, I'll remember to call you. To Richard Herman, Richard, it goes further than that, though. You can't say he was shocked and upset and panicked, because what he did was very methodical. He wasn't panicked. He dragged the body into the woods. He called a friend. The friend disposed of the body. He used a payphone so he couldn't be detected. He walked home so he wouldn't be spotted, even throwing away his shoes.
Nancy, just like John Mark Carr and the John Benet Ramsey case, when these people make these false confessions, they're not prosecuted.
No,
Nancy,
this is not like John Mark Carr, because this guy, Jorn Vandersloot, was seen last with the dead girl. Mark Carr was never seen with John Benet Ramsey.
Everybody on the show tonight, including yourself, Nancy, makes my point. Nobody believes what he said. It's not believable.
I believe he was there with her when she died. I believe he arranged for her body to be disposed of, and I think he went to elaborate steps to cover up. The only thing that I question is the whole series of shaking and then just mysteriously stopping breathing. I think that he killed her for whatever reason.
There's no corroboration at all of a crime here.
Really, other than what he said? Other than his confession?
His confession, nobody believes his confession. Everybody on the show does not believe what he said.
Okay, you know what? Let's go down the list. Robbie Ludwig, do you think he was with her when she died? Just yes, no.
Absolutely.
No explanation needed.
He was definitely with her.
Okay. Based on what we've heard, T.J. Ward, do you believe he was with her when she died?
Yes, I do. I believe she was with her. Yes, that's been our theory all along. And
Art Harris, what about
it? A boat was brought in.
I believe he was with her, and he talks about stashing her body before they put it on the boat. So has the ring of truth to me.
You know, Art, you've pored over these tapes just as I have. What else jumps out at you?
Well, just his arrogance and you know, his sociopathology. Robbie might use.
Absolutely.
That he has no feeling for anyone else but himself. He falls into this predator category of being very selfish and self-centered. And when she dies, he says, "Oh gosh, you know, bad luck for me." And this is pretty astounding.
To Dick Atkins, very quickly, Dick, how can Aruban authorities choose not to go forward in this case? They've had their evidence handed to them on a silver platter.
It's very difficult for them not to go through with it now. They have the whole world, especially the U.S., looking at them. They have all the tourists coming from the U.S. They have what appears to be a confession. I think they're going to go ahead with it. I think that they want to see what other corroboration they can get, and then they'll go full speed ahead in Aruba, and I think it will make a very interesting case.
Let's switch gears. NFL superstar Michael Vick is sitting on $20 million when he gets out of jail for being part of a vicious dog-fighting scheme. Take a listen.
Michael Vick will get to keep more than $16 million in bonus money. The ruling handed down today by a federal judge. His former team, the Atlanta Falcons, claim they deserve the money back after Vick used the proceeds to finance illegal activities. So as Michael Vick sits in Leavenworth, Kansas jail, the $16 million is still safe and sound.
To Mike Bell with Sports Radio 790, The Zone. Mike Bell, how is it that he's managing to hold on to nearly $20 million?
Well, the NFL's collective bargaining agreement, which is the contract between the owners and the players, stipulates that if he was on the roster back in June, he is due his bonus money. The Falcons are saying he took the money and used it in a criminal activity. They didn't have that kind of morals clause language in his contract, so they can't touch that money.
So the issue was, I think I'm understanding this, a signing bonus versus what?
Well, there's a roster bonus, a signing bonus. Basically, it means that they can't touch the money. Once he was on the Falcons roster, an 80-man roster in June 1st, he's part of the team. The signing bonus money is untouchable. Only, well, $16 million in change goes to Mike Vick. The Falcons are only going to get $3 million in change back.
To Daphne Magninovich with PETA's fight against cruelty to animals. Weigh in, Daphne.
Hi, Nancy. Thanks for having me. certainly this is time for Michael Vick to show that he cares about these animals and spend some of that reward money to help find suspected dog fighters who are on the run, to help care for dog fighting victims at shelters that are cleaning up the mess, and to help run a public service announcement campaign to advise dog fighters that if they fight their dogs, they're going to lose everything they've had, just like he did.